Good morning, Rick. How are you?
Hey, Coach, I got to ask you one question. If you were still coaching,
Yeah.
how many haircuts would you have left between now and the end of the season?
If I kept it long, maybe just one.
Just one?
One or two. I counted by haircuts. Yeah, you're right.
I remember you used to tell me. You said I got three more haircuts and the season will be over.
Well, it makes it sound like it's short that way.
Yeah.
That season's will be over with. I got tired of it, at trying to get an NCAA tournament and all that baloney made it. And I never did enjoy the games. I think you probably enjoy them. I never did enjoy them. It was hard for me. That's just my personality. You know how it was.
I know.
Hey,
I
Rick,
tell everybody.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say the first game that I was with you and I walked into your office and you were on the sofa and you were holding the temple of your nose. I said, Coach, are you all right? And he said to me, and I've told this 1,000, 10,000 times, you said, you know what, this is a great job if you never had to play the game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he says it's a great job in the spring and summer.
Yeah.
I just didn't enjoy. I didn't enjoy it much. I mean, I like the wins, and now that it's over, but it was hard. I tell you, your basketball team runs well, shoots it pretty well at night, at some nights, and you are doing with your team about what you have to do until you can get enough players to be as competitive as you want to be. I think they've done really well. Your break has been good. The last game out against South Carolina, you shot it well. And that doesn't mean you're going to shoot it well every time, but I've been impressed with the way they played it. I tell you, I think here's the other factor. They have played. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong. They have played hard. They have played hard. If you can get them to play hard, along with find a way to rebound because you don't have a very big basketball team. Talk about your team.
Yeah, Coach, you're right. We knew coming in, and shooting a 3-point shot. I think we're good shooters. I think that what we've tried to do is empower our guys and tell them that when they're open, guys in the past that haven't shot a lot of threes, we've tried to empower them by saying, hey, if you're open within the rhythm of our offense, and if you can step in and shoot rhythm shots, we want you to shoot the ball. So we've tried to free them up that way from an offensive standpoint. And we knew that we had to be a team that relied a lot on motion. We can't really throw it inside to score. We don't have anybody like that. But we came back from Christmas, and we really, since Christmas, have really tried to lock down on the defensive end because we weren't very good. As you know, we've gone early in the year when we were playing in the non-league. The way you get upset with teams that you're supposed to beat, oftentimes, they just light you up from the three-point line. And so we worked really hard defending the three-point line early. And we weren't playing a lot of teams that had a lot of size, but we knew as the season went on we were going to have to, be able to really go to more of a packed line-type defense. And so we've done that, and it's helped us. But in the last game, we were so pathetic against Vandy that, the last game, when you think about playing a South Carolina team, they're going to get after you. And we said, hey, we've got to play hard and aggressive defensively, and we keep working on it. And we're getting better defensively. Yeah. But we've got to do that. If we want to be a team that's going to keep improving and not just settle to be where we are right now, we've got to get much, much better defensively, and that's what has been our focus.
Coach, talk to us a minute about Kevin Punter. Obviously, he averaged, I think, 36 or 37 in the last game, second leading scorer in the conference. But here's a senior who you've gone and completely changed his shot, which is hard to do for a kid that shot the ball the same way his entire career. Just kind of talk about him and the story about changing his jump shot.
Well, when we first got here, and you go into a new situation, and what you're trying to do is build your culture, and you're trying to find out who's going to buy in with you from the beginning. And no question, Kevin Punter was the first guy that jumped on board. And we were talking about him being a senior and where he wanted to go. And he never played point, but you looked at the roster, he had to be the point guard. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then we started talking about what he wanted to do, and I told him, I said, you're not going to have a future in this game, but just the way you shoot the ball, the way it looks. And he said, what do I need to do? And we started tweaking it and doing some things. But you guys know you can't change a guy's shot unless he's willing to do it. And he spent hours on hours in the gym, 2 feet in front of the basket with a heavy ball, trying to move the ball from the. He shot it on the left side of his head, behind his head, to where he got it out in front on the right side. So we really adjusted his forearm, his elbow, and he's got long arms. He's got really soft hands, and so he worked on it. And I told him, I said, I think it'll probably take you up until November before you'll be able to claim this new shot as your shot. But I tell you, at the beginning of August, you could see he had really gotten into it and liked it, and he even started working harder with it. And before we even started official practice, he had it, and he just continues to do things every day to not let it go back the other way. And every guy would love to coach him because he is just a player that just wants to absorb everything you tell him.
You know, I go back a long time at Tennessee, back when I was assistant coach, and John Sines was the coach, and Ray Mears. In fact, I've got a nice letter from Ray Mears. He wrote me after I got the job here. But Tennessee fans will come to your games if you can get you some players and start winning a little bit. They will. You know, some places you have to beg them to come. Tennessee don't have to do that. Tennessee fans are going to come now. You're going. Is it? You're not going to tell me everything, but how is the recruiting been? How's it going? Is it possible to get what you want there?
Oh yeah, it is, Coach, and you're right about those fans. You know what? We came back and we had to. Conference asked us to move a game on New Year's Eve to accommodate LSU because they had a football game and a basketball game there about the same time. And on a Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock, we had 14,000 people show up to watch us play Tennessee State. And that part of it, I can tell you, has been. I knew Tennessee fans were good, but I've lived it now. And this past week, we had a tough time with the weather. The Vandy, we didn't have a very good crowd, which a lot of teams didn't that night that played, but. What we did, Coach, we went out with the idea that we're going to get a solid foundation, and we hope that our young guys in the program right now would be guys, because we wanted to win this year. We want to win this year. And so we're trying to win with this group, but yet also lay a foundation so when this recruiting class that we've recruited comes in, they have some leadership. They know what. They have guys in front of them helping them with the process. And so we went out with the idea that we're going to get some really good, solid players that are hard workers, guys that we think we didn't care what other people rated them. We guys that we thought would fit into what we wanted to do, and we are really excited about our class. And what this is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us now to take a shot at some of the so-called high-level blue-chip players, people that think might be guys 1 or 2 and done. But I think I go back to the success that we've had really has been with the type of players that we've recruited for next year.
So you feel like you've got some players, some pretty decent players in the fold.
Yeah, we do, and we're excited about our recruiting class. We're not done. We're going to add to it. We still need to add a little more size to it. But the fact is, you know this better than me. You can play this game a lot of different ways, and even this year, if we just had one guy that we could really throw the ball into in the post, just one, we'd be a whole different team right now.
Yeah,
Coach, does any of those guys y'all sign, do they have bullet heads?
Let's see.
Tell the bullet head story, Coach, for our listeners.
It goes back to Keith Aske's. I think we talked about this last time. Coach sent me up there. He said one of his buddies up there went up there, and so we went up, and I went up and watched him play. And Keith was skinny, but you could tell he was a good player. So I told Coach, I came back, and he said, he's not that good. Nobody's recruiting him. I said, well, Coach, I think he's pretty good. And so we drove up there together, and he drove, and I thought I was at the Daytona or the Talladega 500. I've never seen a guy go up that,
He probably took a shortcut, too, I'm sure.
Oh, everywhere. So we watch the game. Keith obviously doesn't play very well. And Keith, Coach is killing me. Like, I don't even know why I hired you. He said, you can't evaluate. You can't do this. You can't do that. And when the game was over with, he said, come on, we got to go say hello to the other coach, and then we'll go talk to the coach. We went over and hello to both coaches. We walk in, and Keith comes out, and I can still see him standing there, and Coach said, do you know much about the university? And he said, I do a little bit. He said, you want to come to the university? And I'm thinking, he just got through killing me, telling me that this kid wasn't any good, and he offers him a scholarship. And we walked out, and I said, Coach, I said, what do you like about this guy? He said, well, I don't know, but I like anything, but I like guys with square shoulders and bullet heads.
We still don't know what a bullet head is, but
Sure.
That's
I know
great.
what he's talking about. Derek McKee. Derek McKee had the bullet head.
Yeah.
You know, where he had a back there. But now that I'm sure Derek's put on weight, he probably doesn't look like he's got a
Hey, Rick, where are your
Yes.
kids?
My son is a missionary in the Middle East, and Coach, he loves the Lord. He loves being able to.
Where is it in the
Go around
Middle
again.
East?
Well, I can't tell you because
Okay.
they're in a really tough area, and
Okay.
but he's with a group of people over there, and they're wanting to spread the gospel to the Arab nation, and he has learned to speak Arabic fluent, and so he's with a great group of people doing that. And my daughter Carly is still in in Texas, and she has adopted 2 young children from Uganda, and she's pregnant now, and so God has been really good to us. And the hard part about being here has just been leaving behind my my grandkids, my daughter. That's been the hardest part. But we talked. Matter of fact, right before I talked to you, I FaceTime with my grandson.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So, Coach, when you turn on the tape and you watch this Alabama team with Avery Johnson, just tell us what you see.
Well, I think when you look, Avery's done a great job. There's a lot of people in this league that would love to do what he did in the non-league. When you think about it, I think he's got wins over probably more top 25 teams than anybody in the league, and they spread you out. They do a lot of the ball screen stuff, and they can shoot it. I think they're really good in transition, and I think they defend. I know they're going to do some things. There's no doubt in my mind they're going to try to double Kevin Punter and keep the ball out of his hands and all those type things, which, that's okay with us because, it's not like, we won't balance anyway. And we don't, believe it or not, we don't run a lot of stuff for Kevin Punter. We don't, and we won't flow. We went into this season thinking ourselves, Murphy's Law, if it can go wrong, it will. Like Armani Moore is a guy we thought early in the year, he was doing everything for us. His roles changed a little bit, but we go to Mississippi State and win without him. You asked me that at the beginning of the year. I said we can't win a game without him. But our guys have improved, and I think guys still are searching to find their total role. But nonetheless, we want to be a team that just flows. And so when people try to take us out, take certain guys out, we're just going to keep running our stuff,
Yeah, tell us, Coach. I got an email here. So they wanted me to ask you about coaching Kevin Durant. What kind of kid he was? How was he to coach? He probably wasn't a very good player till you got a hold of him. You probably changed his career. But just talk to us a little bit about Kevin Durant and then what you see him doing now in the NBA.
Well, here's what people should know about coaching Kevin Durant. We'd be playing in a game, and this is how good a coach I really am. Okay, the score would be really close, and I'd say, KD, come here. He'd walk over. I said, we need you to take this game over. That's all I'd say to him.
That's pretty good advice.
Just take it over. And you know what? I watched him, and believe it or not, I can tell you during timeouts, DJ Augustine, Damian James, those guys too. That we had a good. They were all young. They were all freshmen. I can tell you, we would be in those tight games, and those guys say, "Hey, KD, man, you got to go, man. You got to take this game over." And that's the truth, because he was a guy that he's so team oriented. He's really truly he's the hardest working player we've ever been around. He's the most passionate player, the best teammate, and the fact is, all he wants to do is win. But he is a guy that he's so humble that he never wants anybody to think he's just going to shoot, all that. But we literally would say to him, "You got to take this game over." And we really had a play that we would put 3 guys that were going to screen for him wherever he was. His brother, 3 guys were going over to screen for him. DJ Augustine had the ball, and he could go wherever he wanted just to get him the ball, because everybody was trying to keep him getting the ball, because once he got it in his hand, he was going to make the right play, whether it was him shooting the ball or whether it was passing to the right guy. He's just a phenomenal player, and what I loved about it too, I got on him obviously like you do all high school kids coming in about his defense. And after one of our first film sessions together, which I was really pretty tough on, he came in and said, Coach, I want you to help me with my defense every day. And every timeout, every 4-minute timeout, he would ask one of the coaches out of my defense. After practice, he wanted an edit of our shell defense play.
Wow.
And that's what he wanted. So that tells you that even today, he's a guy that every year I'll ask, every time I see him in the offseason, I say, what are you going to work on this year? And every year he's added something or tried to add something to his game.
How hard, I know what a good recruiter you are. How hard, I know getting started, I guess one of your assistants got started on him, but I don't want you to get into it long, but was it a long process, or did you feel like you made some headway trying to recruit him after he visited?
Coach, I never spoke to Kevin Durant on the phone ever during the recruiting process. Russ Springman had been with me as a GA, worked his way up, and went on the road his first year, and he had always been doing the undergraduate recruiting course. I mean, working the young kids.
Right.
And he went out one of his first recruiting trips. He went to a tournament in Delaware and called me after the tournament. He said, Coach, I saw this kid up here that I've been mailing and sending stuff to, and what's our philosophy on offering young kids scholarships? I said, well, if he's that good, everybody in the world is going to offer him. He probably won't remember it. But you know what? Russ was the first guy to ever offer him a scholarship, and he did remember it. But Russ did a phenomenal job of just really outworking everybody. He went in and got to know the family really well, and I spent 6 years in Washington D.C. and I never really spoke to KD on the phone, and I didn't think we could get him, and all these reports kept coming out saying that we were one of the 5 schools, and Russ asked me if I would go to Oak Hill and see him. And I said, Russ, we're not going to get this kid. I'm looking Carolina, Connecticut, whoever else was in it. And he said, Coach, if you don't go, we're not going to get a visit. If you don't go, we'll at least get a visit. And I had not realized how good a job Russ had done. And so we went to Oak Hill Academy. And when Kevin walked out, some other schools were up there, and he looked like a zombie because he'd been talking to coaches, all day. And come to find out, he hated recruiting. He didn't want to talk to coaches on the phone, all this and all that. So when I looked at him, I was the last coach there that day. I said, you don't really want to talk to another coach? He said, I don't. I said, well, fine. I said, and I looked over at USA Today, up at Oak Hill, they've had all these All-Americans, and they had 5 teams. And when you looked at the 25 USA Today All-Americans that were on the wall that day, none of them really had a very significant NBA career. And I said, look, I want to show you this right here. I said, you see all this hype stuff right here? Really doesn't matter. It's going to get down to who you're going to trust to help you continue to grow. And I said, we'll talk about it in 2 weeks when you come to campus. And then I was talking to his father on the phone, and I didn't realize this, that I'd recruited guys off his father's high school team, and one of his father's best friend, believe it or not, I had to dismiss from George Mason, my first coaching job, but I'd stayed in touch with the guy and everything, and Wayne said to me, Coach, I know who you are, and I'm telling you, if my son and you click when we come down, he's coming to Texas.
Oh.
And you know what?
Story.
And so he came down, and school was out. This is the first year that you could visit in the spring. And LaMarcus Aldridge, who we knew was leaving for the NBA, came back and did a great job. And LaMarcus, I'll actually tell you this part. Wayne Pratt, Kevin's dad, said to LaMarcus, why should I want my son to play for him? And when Kevin and I were at a table with a couple of other coaches watching the NBA playoffs, and LaMarcus said, well, I'll tell you why. He said, I had an accident coming out of the movie a couple of weeks ago, and at 1 o'clock in the morning, I didn't call an assistant. I called Coach, and he was the guy that came. He said, he is a good guy that's going to be involved with it. He's not going to just be, the assistant. Kevin's going to have a relationship with Coach.
That's great.
And we ended up getting him. But I'm telling you, I never once talked to Kevin Durant on the phone recruiting. And some of the other schools helped us, to be honest with you. One of the schools put a date on and said, you got to make this, you're going to have to tell us at this date. And they literally said, we can tell you right now then, we're not coming because we're not going to have a timeline. And one of the other schools didn't do some of the things that they needed to do, just from underneath, academically, knowing the whole situation, everything that needed to happen. And but it was really, I mean, I'm telling you, even here, my assistant coaches, you know, Rob Lanier, Les Oliver, and Chris Ogden, those guys have been in this business. They know more than anything what kind of guy works with me.
Yeah.
And because we got in a situation at Texas, and I think it happens everywhere if you stay long enough, where, you know, you can get some guys, you can get talent, but it just doesn't work. And so that's the one thing we have made a real conscious effort of, guys that we know that work for us.
Well, it's going to work for you at Tennessee, I feel sure. Y'all have actually done a pretty darn good job of what you got. So next year will be even better, and as the years go along, be good. Thank you for being on, Rick.
Appreciate it, Coach. We'll see you tomorrow over at the
Thank
game.
you.
Okay.
See you tomorrow.
Don't you come to the game?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, all right. Look forward to seeing you guys. All right.
Okay.
See you, Rick.
Bye-bye.